I believe that white people are now starting to understand what black people feel like in America. It's not about the violence. It's not about any of that. It's about the optics of people stereotyping black people as criminals all the time. Now white people are all being called terrorists because they support, they're Republicans or they support President Trump. So now people are, I'm experiencing it because I'm being called a terrorist, and I'm not a terrorist, because I wear a cowboy hat. And it's like, we are all getting so hyperbolic. But now, white people understand what it feels like to be misjudged by the color of their skin, by the way they look, and who they support.
All right, so y'all just heard this clip right here, and shout out to Caressa for tagging me in it. Let me just say that everything that came out of this man's mouth is utter BS. From the time he started talking until the time he stopped talking. So you see the caption right here, and it's coming from the Savoy Show. Shout out to the Savoy Show on Instagram. It says, Trump supporter claims white Americans now understand what black Americans go through because they are being called terrorists. Let me tell you something right now. He's not even beginning to scratch the surface of what black people go through in America and have been going through for hundreds of years while being here in America, mainly due to the hands and the treatment and the systems put in place that look like the guy here on this screen. Oh, he reached like he was Stretch Armstrong. Y'all remember that toy Stretch Armstrong from back in the in the 90s or maybe late 80s, early 90s? That's what he was doing when he made this particular video. And he was doing it in response to what happened at the Capitol back on January 6th, and saying that white people are now being called terrorists. He's being called a terrorist. And I guess he's trying to say that he wasn't there. I don't know if he was there, if he wasn't there. I can't say if he was or if he wasn't. And he's saying that he's being called a terrorist and all types of things, and because of what they did. But the thing is, he said they're being called a terrorist for being a 45 supporter. No, they're not calling you a terrorist for being a 45 supporter. They're calling you terrorist because what they did on that day was considered a domestic terroristic act. See, it's almost like he's trying to admit what happened, but also distance himself from what happened. If that, if you know what I mean. I could word it a little bit different, but I'm sure you can interpret it in your own way. And now he says, now I know what it likes to feel or like a black person in America. Let me tell you something right now. Black people, don't fall for this. Please don't fall for this. Because I already saw some people in the comments saying, oh, this is a start. He's acknowledging it and all. No, he's barely doing that. It's almost like a backhanded type of thing. You got to really, this is the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of black people don't know who their enemies are, so it's very easy for them to fall for the trick bag and the okie doke when someone like this guy right here on your screen says what he said. Because they, black people as a whole aren't deemed as quote unquote terrorists, but leave it to mainstream media and outlets like that and people like this guy right here who probably called black people terrorists and at one point in time. I wouldn't be surprised if he called a black person the N-word a couple of times in his lifetime. But this one incident right here, they're upset because they got the title of terrorist, even though what I said and what they did was considered to be a domestic terroristic style act, if you really look at the definition of the word. Like, hell, it's actually more than just that. It's a list, a laundry list, almost resume style of things that happened in that one day between, going into a major federal property, stealing, theft, leaving feces all over the place, killing. Yes, killing. A cop died, got beat to death with a fire extinguisher. One of the people that was there, she got shot. Don't feel bad for her. Destruction of property, taking pictures of documents, stealing mail and posting pictures with it. Granted, we may not agree with all the stuff that these people did, but at the end of the day, they had the balls and the audacity to go down there and actually do what they did and feel that they should not get reprimanded for it. I bet you if they weren't being called terrorists, they would not have he would not have made a video talking about this. I know he wouldn't have. He can take this whole little whatever that he came up with to make this video and shove it. Because you don't understand what black people go through. And you never will. So stop trying to equate you being called a terrorist because of something that happened, which was deemed a terroristic style or domestic terrorism, onto what black people go through every day. See, this is them also now battling for who is more oppressed. And it's crazy because this is a group of people that tells us to stop being a victim. Stop playing the victim card. Stop living in the past. Stop talking about struggles. But what did this guy do right here in this video? And he's not the only one. He's just the only one we've seen right now that made a video, because I've seen this before what happened on January 6th. They'll try to reach back or reach recent, whatever, and compare this stuff to what black people go through. Look at what Kirstie Alley says. She compared 45 being banned on Twitter to slavery. Look what happened last year with the masks. They compared being in quarantine to slavery. A time and a period that was never, ever, ever good for black people in America, but very good for them on the economy side. But they'll tell us to stop dwelling in the past, but they'll reach back into the past and not talk about their past, but bring up our past to equate to their current, their present day, to try to elevate them in another status. See, the thing is, they've already got the economy. They've already got the power structure, but they've never had a struggle to really, they've never had the black struggle. And this, in this video, is what this guy's trying to do. They're trying to colonize black people's struggle. That's what he's trying to do in this video. And some black people out here are trying to give him a compliment. Don't give this man a compliment. Don't high five him. Don't fist bump him. Don't cheer this on, because it's nothing to be cheered. It's nothing to be revered. Like, understand and read between the lines. Now, when you had what happened back during 9/11, it was mainly palm-colored people that was going around calling Muslims and Arabs and whoever terrorists because of what happened on that day. But guess what? All of those people they called terrorists were not involved with what happened. If you want to call what the people on the plane did, the pilots, quote unquote, did terrorists, yes. Those hijackers, yes, you can call them terrorists. But they were calling or making blanket statements to anybody they saw walking around with a hijab or with that red dot in the middle of their forehead, or anyone who worked in a 7-Eleven calling them terror. I remember that. It's crazy because at the time I was 12. And I remember seeing, like, you know, articles and looking on the news and stuff about how they said that people are calling them terrorists, but I didn't see black people calling them that. See, the thing is, black people already, like I said, in America know what it's like to be oppressed. So we don't really want that for anybody else. But now that white people are getting this label of terrorists, which is the last thing they've ever wanted. This is probably one of the last titles, last labels they've ever wanted. They'll take a lot of labels. They'll take a lot of titles. But being called a terrorist is one of the titles they do not want to have, along with being poor or politically stripped. But terrorists, they don't like that. Why do you think when they fought so hard to not get Dub S put on these watch lists? Because then that would mean they would have to get in the category of being called terrorists. But they'll throw on some fake BIE that doesn't even equate to what they have done now and throughout history and still continue to do into the future. So no. To this random guy, right? And then he mentioned something about the hat. Okay, what does you wearing the hat have to do with anything? A lot of people wear hats. I've seen black people wear those hats. Okay. Your fashion choices doesn't make you, you know, well, it depends. If you go around wearing like a vest with a bomb on it, then yeah, okay, then I could see that. But how many times you see that every day? not often or at all. But yeah, this is a reach. But the thing is, a lot of palm colored people do this. A lot. Too much, to be quite honest. Like, how do you compete to struggle? How does that work? How do you colonize being in a struggling position and then tell the people that are actually struggling that you help get into that struggle and help to keep there, that they're victims? But when you're struggling, it's supposed to be seen as something to overcome. It's weird. It's very weird. It's like the Twilight Zone in real life. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please text that number pinned down in the comments below so you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.